Hi guys, welcome to the channel. Thank you for joining me and thank you for your continued support. Apologies for any banging you might hear in the background. It is of course 5th of November, so lots of fireworks going off. My dog is currently quivering under a blanket, bless him. But yeah, so if you hear any noises, that's what it's probably going to be. So we've had this report now from Sir Charlie Mayfield, who's been looking at like the Back to Work programme and how they can support people back into work. And he's come up with one particular idea, which I think he's touched on before, but it's interesting because I think it's something which could backfire on them, I think, in some ways. Anyway, I'm going to show you the article so that you can read through it yourself, and then you can let me know what you think down in the comment section afterwards. Oh, please do subscribe, by the way, and share this as far as you can to help broaden the reach of the channel. So let's take a look at the article. Sick notes should be replaced and companies offered financial incentives to retain staff to tackle the crisis of sickness-related worklessness, a major government review has recommended. Firms that take tackling work sickness seriously should have access to tax relief or sick pay rebates, as well as being given priority for government contracts, said the review. Fit notes, which have become a barrier to contact between employer and staff, should be reformed or replaced with a new NHS app service that offers early intervention and support when someone becomes unwell, the report said. The review said that government incentives such as national insurance adjustments should be offered to employers who are helping to reduce the numbers of economic inactivity. The iPaper revealed last month that ministers are looking at expanding tax incentives to subsidise the cost of hiring young workers to complement the government's Youth Guarantee pledge to get all under 24s into education or employment. The recommendations have been made in a long-awaited report by ex-John Lewis boss Sir Charlie Mayfield, which said poor workplace health is costing employers $85 billion a year. Worklessness due to sickness costs the country 7% of GDP, and overall ill health costs the UK economy $212 billion a year in lost output, it said. Mayfield proposed a total overhaul of how sickness is dealt with in the workplace, arguing that employers have had a share in responsibility alongside staff and the health service. He said 93% of fit notes, the formal name for sick notes in England, deemed the patient not fit for work and are often extended without further consultation. GPs are being asked to assess both the treatment needs of the patient and their capacity to work, despite most lacking occupational health training and time to get into sufficient detail, he said. Instead, Mayfield proposed a new workplace health provision which could eventually be on the NHS app as a non-clinical case management service, helping managers by offering advice and early intervention. Earlier this year, the iPaper revealed ministers were looking into overhaul fit notes to cut unemployment, suggesting the government will be willing to take forward Mayfield's suggestions. On Wednesday, the government is set to announce the launch of so-called Vanguard employers to pioneer a new strategy to address mental health at work, retention of older people and improved participation of disabled in work. So I think by that you can see what I'm talking about. They're looking at helping to retain older workers, they're hoping to get disabled people into work, and they're hoping to stop people who are working from going sick. So basically what they want you to do is work from cradle to the grave, not have a day off sick, and if you do have a day off sick, to get you back in as soon as possible. Now, of course, for many people, if they take time off sick, it's going to be maybe a case of the flu or maybe something else, something minor that will clear up in a few days, and there shouldn't be any need for early intervention for that type of thing. But the problem is going to be when and what conditions would they be doing it for? I mean, is this going to be a case of, well, if someone breaks their leg, they're going to try everything they can to try and get them back into work as quickly as possible by making reasonable adjustments? Or are they actually going to give people time to heal and recover before they think about bringing them back into the workplace? Because, you know what happens. If you go back to work too early when you're not well, you often feel worse for longer because you haven't given yourself time to rest. So this could be open, especially if you're going to give employers incentives to keep people in work. This could well be abused, and you could well be seeing employers trying to get people back into work who aren't ready. Plus the fact, what do you do with those people who've been diagnosed with a long-term illness, for example? What happens to them people? I know he's saying that fit notes are often extended without further consultation, but if it's a condition that isn't going to get any better, the sick note is going to be increased. It's going to be extended. If it's not going to improve, why would the GP need to call you back in for another appointment just to confirm that things haven't changed? So I think that there are bad things that could happen with this situation, and I hope that they come up with something which is actually going to be good for people, and not something that's just going to try and get people back into work as soon as they go off sick and risk causing further damage to their health or damage to their mental health because they've been forced back into work before they're ready. But I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section on this. What do you think about the idea of getting rid of fit notes and having something else like an app on the NHS app, something to do with getting people back into work or finding solutions? Is that a better idea than fit notes, or do you think the fit notes have a place and they should be kept? Let me know down in the comment section what you think. Please do subscribe if you got this far, and I'll see you next time.